So, just a couple of quick observations about Carl Benjamin saying, I wouldn't even rape you to Jess Phillips, right? Now, I find it quite funny the way people are taking this. And I think the first problem for Sargon is that when you said something 3 years ago, you can't quite remember the feelings that you had. You might think you do, but that in that moment, what you were saying and the context that was behind it is forgotten 3 years later. Okay, you've got the facts that still stand, and maybe you'd be able to recall that, but not in every case. So it's the context that I really want to concentrate on, because everybody seems to be saying it as like I'm just literally, I know it came out 19th of April, so I'm a bit late to the party and stuff, but I'm watching Cult of Dusty, his live stream about Sargon running for office, just, because I'm bored. um, and he's saying, like, the way that it said, I wouldn't even rape you, is like saying there are some people I would rape, however, you're too ugly to be raped. I wouldn't even rape you. But I don't think that's. I think that's different from looking at it as if Jess Phillips is the subject of the whole tweet. Okay, I wouldn't even rape you is like it's not saying anything about what you would or wouldn't do to another human being. It's saying, like, I wouldn't touch you with a barge pole, but in a really vulgar way, right? If you've ever heard the term, I wouldn't touch you with a barge pole, it's just saying, like, under no circumstances would I even go near you, you know? I wouldn't even rape you is like, even if, like, I was impulsed to rape a person, if I realised it was you, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to be that close to you. I wouldn't even delve to the, you know what I mean? It's like saying I wouldn't even stab you is a similar statement. It's like I don't care about you as a person, um, but I wouldn't bring myself to be that within that vicinity to you. Do you know what I mean? It's a really vulgar, harsh way of saying I wouldn't even touch you with a barge pole. It's not saying um, I wouldn't. It's not saying, like, how can I explain it? This is really difficult to explain the difference. Let's see what. Let's hear what Dusty said.
I am a horrible human being, and I treat everybody horribly. I don't give a shit what your gender is. If you're a dick or not, I will still be a giant piece of shit to you. I am Carl. Elect me. So basically, and here's him saying again to Dr. Christy Winters, I wouldn't even rape you either, Christy. And this is the same joke he made to the one chick, I guess she was a politician or something, 3 years ago, and he's been taking shit about it. And look, I understand this is a joke, but I know what the joke is. Basically, the joke is this. Hey, I wouldn't rape you. You're not good enough to be raped. If I was going to rape somebody, it would be somebody much more attractive than you.
Yeah, that's where I think he's got it wrong.
That's a big hoe.
That's where I think he's got it wrong. That whole it being based on attraction, like, and the fact that he's comparing it to other people, like I say, it's like saying I wouldn't touch you with a barge pole, essentially. So the way that I'm reading it is not nothing to do with actually raping the person. It's saying that I wouldn't want to ever I wouldn't even, like, do something horrible to you because I don't want to get that close to you. Do you know what I mean? It's not saying, like, because you're ugly, and it's not saying because I would do it to other people, but, you're repulsive or whatever. I don't know if this is making any sense. Let me know if it's making any sense, because I mean, the way that I read it is, it's just a horrible way of saying, like you're a horrible person, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, like, but it's not a rape threat, and it's not even suggestive of like a comparison to other people or a comparison to people that you would rape. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, okay, there's girls that I'd hit on, all right? Girls that I find attractive and would like to have, sex with, right? And then there are girls that I would want to be so far removed from that. Like, I wouldn't. No, maybe that's wrong. I don't know. Do you see where I'm coming from with that? Like, I would hit on this girl. I wouldn't even rape that girl. Like, it's vulgar as fuck. I'm not saying it's not, but I appreciate where that might have been coming from. That might have been the context of it. I can't really appreciate people who are saying I wouldn't even rape you. Like, oh, I'm going around picturing all the girls that I would rape and you're not one of them. That sentence, the way that the sentence is structured, doesn't make sense to that context, and I feel like that's what people are trying to say. I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong, so let me know if I've got this right or if I'm a million miles away, because with this one I think it's funny, it's interesting, it's an interesting because it's so short. It's like an interesting look at how people can perceive both advocates for their point of view and also enemies to their point of view, you know, because it's vulgar as fuck, so it's easy to find an immediate negative. He's used the word rape. It's like virtue words. I've forgotten what the other ones are called, but when I was looking into like sociology, it mentioned about how the media use certain words to make you feel a part of or against a certain thing. And so the word rape would definitely have negative connotations to the mass public, to people in general. So immediately everybody becomes on the defensive as soon as they see that word before they've managed to read the context. And once, with certain things, once you read the context, obviously that defensiveness is dissipated, and that's what virtue signaling works really well at, because you're like, I'm against murder, and like people want to be defensive against the word murder, but you've already said that you're against it, so they feel safe with you. Like, yes, we're part of the same, we feel the same about this subject, and that makes me feel safer with you intellectually. So in that respect, I find it easy for everybody to say, like, I was once talking to a feminist and I showed her a Devon Tracy video, and her immediate reaction was, well, he's right, but I don't like him because I don't like the way he said it. Like, he's really passive aggressive and really sort of macho about the way he says it, and that obviously rubs feminists up the wrong way. Of course it does, that's the whole point. The only thing I could do there was laugh at the fact that she'd rather listen to the way he spoke and his attitude than consider the fact that he was right. She fully admitted that he was right, but she still didn't, like, her rebuttal was, I don't like him as a person. And you know, that's just human beings. You can say, oh, that's a fallacy, rah rah rah, it's an ad hominem attack, rah rah rah. People say these things in like intellectual circles, but in real life, when you're just talking to real life human beings, this is the attitude that they have, unfortunately. You know, they're not intellectuals, and they don't really care that they're not intellectuals, because they don't really care about any of these subjects. They're living their life. They're going to work. They're still playing the games that they play or watching the TV that they watch or whatever they're doing, and they're just going to make snap decisions about this shit. This is why my whole don't vote video makes too much sense. People shouldn't vote because people actually don't care. You know, all they care about is, I like this person, he's cool. And I don't like that person, he's not cool, you know? And I think that's a sad way of doing politics. If you watch any of Carl's interviews, when people have broached this subject with him, he's saying, like, why are you concentrating on something that I've said in my own personal time? Why aren't you concentrating on the ideas that I'm bringing to the table? I'm not making policies about not raping Jess Phillips. And I think it's sad, because every time he says that, people just like shun it, because they've already got these pre-prepared questions and it's all based around that. So they've got no way of putting it in the past. And especially the fact that he won't apologise, which I think is great, more power to him. Because even if he did apologise, all that would do would make him look weak, and they'd still bring it up, and he'd have to repeatedly say, I've apologised for that, I've apologised for that. We've seen it all many times before, so we all know that regardless what he does, they're still going to keep bringing it up. So I feel like just the thing that he's doing, being very dismissive of it, just saying, "Yep, I did that. Can we move on, please?" is absolutely the only option that he's got that hasn't really been tried out yet. So let's see where it takes him, because there's like a formula to these things. Usually when you're watching politicians and shit, it's a formula, and you see it play out again and again. And obviously, Carl's sort of anti-establishment in that way. He's bringing something different to it, and so too might Count Dankula. I don't really know that guy very much or follow him very much, and sadly, I put Count Dankula and Amos Yee in the same category, where they both got famous through being victims, being actual victims, and then suddenly thought that made them celebrities. And it's like, no, it really doesn't make you a celebrity. It makes you a victim. But it could have happened to anyone. It could have been literally anybody in the world in that situation. It says more about the people who came to your aid. It doesn't say anything about you. Like Amos Yee, I disagree with that guy on 99.999% of the bullshit that came out of his mouth. I wanted to say comes out of his mouth, but I realise he's not really about anymore, is he? So came out of his mouth makes more sense. I disagree with 99 point... I probably disagree with all of it. But he was being censored for being an atheist and for being outspoken, and we're all about freedom of speech. Even if you disagree with a person, you got to stand up for the freedom of speech. And Count Dankula was exactly the same. I'm not saying one way whether I agree with him or disagree with him, because I know fuck all about him, apart from he got fined and they took money directly out of his bank account. They didn't even give him the option of prison. So that to me is fucked up shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not right. Anyway, I've taken too much of your time over one silly little joke, but the point that I was initially making was that I think there's more than one context. There's more than one way it could be taken, and maybe I can't quite find the words to explain the difference. I think that's where I'm struggling. So maybe you guys in the comment section can see where I'm coming from and maybe word it a little better for me. I'll pin it if one of you gets it right, I promise. Take it easy.